You're listening to an African Elements top news story for April 8th, 2025. Please visit our website at africanelements.org for more daily news. NPS edits reroute UGRR history. Tubman removed history tells our story. When that story gets changed, especially by official sources like the National Park Service, NPS, we have to ask why. Recently, edits appeared on the NPS website about the Underground Railroad. These changes involve removing Harriet Tubman's image and quote, and altering language about slavery. Furthermore, these edits seem part of a larger pattern affecting how Black history is presented. This is deeply concerning for the African diaspora community. The Underground Railroad represents a powerful chapter of resistance against unimaginable brutality. It speaks to the courage and agency of enslaved people. Consequently, attempts to reshape this narrative demand our close attention. Let's dive into the specifics of these changes and what they mean for understanding our past. One of the most striking changes involves Harriet Tubman herself. A prominent photograph of Tubman and a powerful quote attributed to her were removed from the main Underground Railroad webpage. In the quote, she identified herself as the conductor of the Underground Railroad. This removal hits hard because Tubman wasn't just a figure. She was a central driving force who risked her life repeatedly. Instead of Tubman, the page now features images of commemorative stamps. These stamps highlight Black-white cooperation among various civil rights leaders. While cooperation existed, this shift fundamentally changes the focus. Additionally, the NPS now points visitors to a separate page specifically about Tubman. However, creating a separate page doesn't excuse removing her from the primary narrative of the very network she defined for so many. Her absence from the main page diminishes her pivotal role in the eyes of visitors seeking general information. Words carry weight, especially when discussing horrific histories like chattel slavery. The NPS edits included significant changes in language used to describe this period. The term enslaved African Americans was replaced with enslaved workers. This change minimizes the brutal reality that people were enslaved based on their race, not just their labor status. It strips away the crucial racial dimension of American slavery. Furthermore, references to the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 were completely deleted. This law was incredibly controversial. It forced Northerners to participate in capturing escaped people and denied accused Black individuals basic legal rights, fueling the fire that led to the Civil War. Omitting it erases critical context about the dangers faced by freedom seekers and the systemic nature of racism embedded in federal law. Describing the Underground Railroad merely as significant expressions of the American Civil Rights Movement, or something that bridged the divides of race, also distorts history. The Underground Railroad predates the modern civil rights movement by nearly a century and was fundamentally about resistance to enslavement, a crucial distinction lost in the new phrasing. Replacing Harriet Tubman's image with stamps emphasizing Black-white cooperation is more than just a visual change. It represents a narrative shift. The Underground Railroad was undoubtedly an interracial effort at times, but its heart and soul were the enslaved people risking everything for freedom and the free Black communities that formed the backbone of the network. Centering cooperation potentially minimizes the agency and leadership of Black individuals. This reframing moves away from the narrative of resistance led by the enslaved. Instead, it presents a softer, more collaborative picture. This aligns with a broader trend observed in other NPS edits, sometimes referred to as whitewashing. For instance, details about Benjamin Franklin's history with slavery and Thomas Stone being a slave owner were removed from other pages. Likewise, the complexity of John Brown's legacy regarding racial justice and his raid's connection to enslaved people's resistance were also toned down or removed. Such edits collectively dilute the harsh realities of slavery and systemic racism. These edits didn't happen in a vacuum. They align with initiatives during the Trump administration targeting what was deemed divisive content. Executive orders aimed at eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs likely influenced these changes across federal agencies. While the provided sources don't detail the specific orders, the pattern is noted. This context includes similar incidents, like the temporary removal of content about Jackie Robinson and the Tuskegee Airmen from a Department of Defense website, which was later restored after public outcry. Predictably, the NPS changes sparked backlash. Historian Fergus Bordewich called the edits both offensive and absurd, stating they harm the site's educational value by leaving out vital history. The NPS defended the changes as aiming to preserve nuanced and difficult stories, though specific justifications weren't provided to counter the criticism. For many in the Black community, however, removing Tubman and downplaying resistance feels less like nuance and more like erasure. The story of the Underground Railroad is fundamentally a story of Black courage, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. While allies played a role, the engine was driven by enslaved people and free Black activists like Harriet Tubman. Consequently, edits that obscure this reality, change precise language about slavery, remove key figures, or misrepresent historical timelines do a disservice to this legacy. For the African diaspora, accurately remembering and teaching this history is vital. It connects us to the resilience of our ancestors and informs our understanding of ongoing struggles for racial justice. Therefore, we must remain vigilant when official narratives are altered, ensuring that the sacrifices and triumphs of those who forged paths to freedom are never diminished or forgotten. Copyright African Elements.